Hello and welcome to That Bible Guy. Today I'm starting what I hope to be a series on the book of Genesis, entitled Life Lessons from Genesis. I started reading the book of Genesis recently, and I got to chapter 3 or 4 and I thought, there's so many wonderful things in here that hit me, the Spirit working, that hit me, and I thought I want to share these things. So I've backtracked a little in order to start from Genesis 1 and hopefully provide, maybe not necessarily daily, but something on every chapter, maybe several times a week, I would hope, lessons from the book of Genesis. And I say life lessons because I actually believe contained within all of God's words, there are practical lessons for us, things that we can learn that God may be trying to communicate with you. And hopefully you'll find what I find is I've read the same book, Genesis, countless amounts of times, but yet always something new comes up. So today we're looking at Genesis chapter 1, and we'll read just even a few verses, but what this would be entitled is Origins of Belief, the origin of faith, the origin of belief. And in the start of Genesis, it says, "In the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was formless and empty, darkness was over the surface of the deep, the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters." So it opens up with an incredible start, if you like. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. What a way to start. The world, the universe was created by God. That's what it's telling us from the very start. It's making God the subject and the universe the subject and God also the subject of, in the beginning, there was the universe and it was created by God. It makes sense to say that the universe was created by God. To me, it makes sense. It's what I always thought. Science has also confirmed by saying of a Big Bang and that the world came into existence, that the world was indeed created. The universe was created. It may not acknowledge that it comes from a monotheistic God that we believe in, but it acknowledges the fact that it came into existence. Something created it. It didn't create itself. That's not possible. That's illogical. So therefore we know, and the Bible tells us, the world, the universe, was created by God. As I say, as a young man, I realized this looking up at the stars in the sky. That made sense to me. But it also tells us here that God created the heavens and the earth ex nihilo, out of nothing. He didn't have pre-existing materials necessarily, because that's when he created everything at that particular point in time. Maybe it was the Big Bang. I'm open to that idea for sure, that's maybe how God brought it into existence. But he created it all out of nothing, ex nihilo, which means out of nothing. Now, interestingly, we can't create anything in that way. We may build, form, fashion, and make things, but we can't create anything, because the idea in this term, ex nihilo, is out of nothing, is that we're creating something from a material that doesn't exist, that we create the material. And that is not possible for us. We can fashion and form things, but we can't create anything ex nihilo, out of nothing. Our universe is incredible. And this is the lessons I was getting out of reading Genesis 1 again. Our universe is incredible. And it does show, this is the teleological argument, design, complexity, order, personality. When we look at the universe, I always felt this, and I see it more and more. It demonstrates all those things. And even those who don't believe in God would still agree that the universe, for the most part, it demonstrates those things. Just out of interest, just to stand in awe of the God who did create the heavens and the earth, as scriptures say here, there's typically in our galaxy is 1 billion stars, or in most galaxies there are 1 billion stars. Our galaxy, which is known as the Milky Way, it's said that there's 200 billion stars. Some of these figures you have to stop and just try to think about them, but sometimes that doesn't help. They're just too big. The average distance between one galaxy and another, the average distance just between one galaxy and another galaxy, is 20 million trillion miles. Incomprehensible, right? Incomprehensible. Our closest galaxy to the Milky Way is the Andromeda Galaxy, and it's 12 million trillion miles away. So we have the Milky Way that we're part of, astronomically big. The next galaxy to ours is 12 million trillion miles away. And of course, we then ponder how many galaxies there are. Here's a thought to think about for a moment when you look at the sky, and we're thinking about what God has created here, and the incredible design and complexity and the size and the magnitude of the universe. Look at a patch of sky roughly the size of the moon. If you were to look very deep in any patch in the sky, roughly the size of the moon to us looking at the night sky, you would see about, and again, you were able to delve into the depth, you'd see about 1 million galaxies. Just a patch of sky, anywhere you look at, the size of the moon, look deep, you see 1 million galaxies. God has done this, and He's given us a finely tuned universe. How incredible is our God that it says in the beginning created the heavens and the earth. In Romans 1:18-20, it tells us that there is no excuse for those who don't know God because He's shown Himself by what He has made. Most people in history who've looked up to the night sky, who've looked up at the sky, day sky as well, have known and believed in a creator. Now, they don't always agree it's God the way we do, monotheistic Christian God, but they all acknowledge, the vast majority of people before us, and in this time and in after our time, look at the world and have decided there is indeed a creator. And I want to look at today, just as I said, the origins of belief. I think this is the origins of belief, in that we look at what has been made around us and we conclude from the evidence that there is a designer. It is much more likely there is a designer, but I also want to encourage us today. It's another way for us to increase our faith, and that's the lesson from Genesis 1 today. The origins of our belief, but also how can we increase our faith. Psalm 19 verse 1 says, "The heavens declare the glory of God, the skies proclaim the work of His hands. Day after day they pour forth speech, night after night they display knowledge. There is no speech or language where their voice is not heard. Their voice goes out into all the earth, their words to the ends of the world." And it goes on and it goes on, and you could read more. But there's no language or speech where their voice is not heard. There's a testimony coming from the sky, the moon, the stars, the sun, the galaxies, the universe, the air, the trees, the creation, the animal kingdom, all these things. There is a word, there's a speech going forth from that. God is testifying to Himself through all that He has made. So as Christians, we can be encouraged. We can sit under the sky. We can sit out and look at the world and be transformed, because we can then be at peace. We can realize how small we are. We can realize how complex God is. We can realize how much God has designed the world to encourage us. He's made us the pinnacle of creation. We can also know, and this is the encouraging bit that I take from this when I read this and I realize the magnitude of the universe, I realize, will He not look after me? Will He not watch out for my life? Will He not care about what happens to me day to day? Especially as we look around the world today, right now at this particular point in time, and we see incredible conflict, and we pray about the conflicts around the world. But I take so much heart from this, and if you want to increase your faith, I encourage us to let that speech come upon us. The speech and the testimony of the created world that God has gone about creating. It says, in the beginning He created the heavens and the earth. This is just the first day of many lessons from the life of the book of Genesis. Life lessons from the book of Genesis. If this helped you today, please hit the like button. Please share on for other people. Subscribe if you haven't already to That Bible Guy. And let's get His word out there.